My name is Damary Kisiang'ani. Welcome to this lesson. Today we are going to learn how to turn the active voice into the passive voice. The objective of this lesson is that by the end of the lesson you should be able to form and use passive sentences. What is the passive voice? Generally, an English sentence begins with the doer of the action, that is what we refer to as the subject, then the verb, then the object or the person that the action is performed on. This is the active voice. For example, we have subject, verb, object. Mary ate the mango. So we can turn this into the passive voice so that we have the subject beginning the sentence, followed by the action that is being performed. So in this case, we have the passive voice. For example, we have subject, verb, or object. So in this case, the object becomes the agent because we can do away with it. The mango was eaten by Mary. So our subject, the mango here, initially was the object of the first sentence. So here it becomes the object, and then our verb was eaten, and then the agent here, what was initially the subject, now comes to this position by Mary. We are saying this, we can do away with this agent. So we can just say the mango was eaten. However, there are a few things we must note, that not all verbs in English take an object. Some sentences are complete without an object, or they take something else that is not an object. For example, Mary went away. When you look at this sentence, we have our subject Mary, our verb went, and then we have away. Away here is not an object. An object has to be a noun or a pronoun. We have another example. Mary, our subject, walked, our verb, and briskly. Briskly here is an adverb. It shows how Mary walked. So it's not an object, it's not a noun, neither is it a pronoun. So both away and briskly are not objects because they are neither nouns nor pronouns. These two sentences can therefore not be turned into passive sentences because they have no object. When you have a sentence that has no object, it cannot be changed into the passive voice. Therefore, when should we use the passive voice? Number one, when we do not know who the doer or the subject is, or it is not important who the subject is. For example, somebody ate the mango. Here we can only say the mango was eaten because we don't know who ate the mango. It's not important who ate the mango. The fact is the mango was eaten, so we use the passive voice. We have another example, another instance where we use the passive voice. Number two, when it is obvious to the listener or reader who the subject is. For example, the doctor treated the patient. We know if the patient was treated, it must have been the doctor who treated him. So it is obvious who did the action. So we just say the patient was treated. We use the passive to show that. Now, how do we form the passive voice? There are 3 steps involved. Step 1, put the object of the verb at the beginning of your sentence. So the object will come at the beginning of the sentence. And then number 2, the verb to be in the appropriate form. We'll see how we can turn a verb, the verb to be in its appropriate form. And then number 3, we have the main verb in the past participle form. For example, the teacher teaches the boy. We have our subject, the teacher, the verb teaches, and then the boy is our object. So to turn this into the passive, we bring the object here, the boy, in subject position. So the boy becomes our subject of the passive voice. And then teaches this, we turn it into the participle form, taught. And then we have our verb to be, which is. So the boy is taught becomes our passive voice. We have more examples of how to turn the active into the passive. The farmer is fetching water. The farmer is our subject. Is our form of the verb to be. And then fetching is the past participle. It's our verb which we are going to turn into the past participle. And then we have water. So water comes at the beginning as the subject. Water is being fetched. Is our verb of the form of the verb to be, and then fetched, our past participle of fetching. The baby ate the fruit. Another example. Here we have the fruit comes to subject position from object position here, and then we have was eaten. That is our past participle. Again, there are a few things we have to note. That if you want to mention the subject in the passive sentence, use by. We said the subject in the passive sentence is optional. It can be done away with. For example, the fruit was eaten by the baby. Here, our subject of the former of the active sentence was the baby. So when we turn it to passive, the baby goes to agent position or object position, and we can also do away with it. We can just say the fruit was eaten. But if you want to introduce by, the baby I mean, then you need to use by. So you'll say the fruit was eaten by the baby. Number 2, if the active sentence begins with no one or nobody, the passive sentence will be negative. For example, no one beat the drum. We are beginning with no one. So here, to turn it into the passive, we'll say the drum was not beaten. We turn it or introduce not to turn it into the negative. Or nobody beat the drum was not beaten. Number 3, if there is a preposition between the verb and the object, the preposition will remain after the verb. For example, they talked about the issue. We have our preposition here, about. So when we are turning this sentence to the passive voice, that preposition will remain. The issue was talked about. So our preposition about still remains. Now we have an exercise here that we can try out to see if we understood today's lesson. Turn the following sentence into the passive. We have Peter kicked the ball, John delivered the flowers, and the baby loves me. You can try this 3 sentences, then you'll post it on the channel as comment, which I'll look at later and give you feedback. That's all we had for now. Thank you. See you later.